Imagine this, 9,000 years ago in Neolithic China. Someone mixed rice, honey, and wild fruit in a pottery jar. They sealed it, waited, and discovered something magical: fermentation. The world's oldest known alcoholic drink was born. But here's the mind-blowing part. That drink might be the reason we have civilization at all. Welcome to the story of alcohol, the drink that built human society. Patrick McGovern, the Indiana Jones of alcohol, has a radical theory. He believes we were born to drink. Not just biologically, culturally. Alcohol shaped our evolution, our religion, and our politics. Let's start with a question that changes everything. Which came first, bread or beer? Most people assume bread. It's food, it's basic, it's survival. But McGovern and many archaeologists disagree. Beer came first. Here's why: beer is easier to make than bread. Just soak grains in water and wait. Wild yeast does all the work. No grinding, no kneading, no oven required. And beer has something bread doesn't: a mind-altering effect, a buzz that makes you feel something special. That buzz, that altered state, that's what ancient people craved, and that craving changed history. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Hunter-gatherers likely discovered alcohol by accident. They stored wild grain or fruit in containers. Rain got in, fermentation happened naturally. Someone tasted it and realized it made them feel amazing. They remembered, and they repeated it. That knowledge spread, and it gave hunter-gatherers a huge incentive. A reason to settle down, stay in one place, and grow grain on purpose. For beer. This is the drunk hypothesis. Alcohol drove the agricultural revolution. We farmed to brew. The desire for intoxication wasn't an evolutionary mistake. It provided benefits that outweighed the costs. Let's look at the evidence. In 2004, archaeologists found the oldest known alcoholic beverage. At Jiahu in China, pottery from 7000 BC. Residue showed rice, honey, and fruit fermented together. That's 9,000 years old, and it predates the oldest bread evidence. But that's just the beginning. In 2024, an even older discovery was made. At Shangshan in China, researchers found 10,000-year-old rice beer, the earliest fermentation in East Asia. They analyzed pottery vessels using phytoliths, starch, and fungi evidence. Rice, Job's tears, acorn, and lily were brewed together. These weren't just casual drinks. They were ceremonial, used in feasts and rituals to bring people together. And this is the key insight. Alcohol was never just about getting drunk. It was social technology. It was how ancient people bonded, negotiated, and built trust. Think about it. You're a hunter-gatherer living in a small group. Strangers come to visit. You don't trust them yet. They don't trust you. You share a fermented drink together. Boundaries dissolve, tensions ease, connections form. Alcohol lowers social barriers. It makes people more talkative, more generous, more cooperative. That's not just fun, that's survival. That's how alliances are built. This is why alcohol appears in every single human civilization, from Mesopotamia to Egypt, from Greece to China to the Inca Empire. The Sumerians, 6,000 years ago, worshipped beer. They had a goddess of brewing named Ninkasi. They used beer as payment for laborers. Pyramid builders in Egypt were paid in beer. Mesopotamian rulers maintained state breweries. They kept careful records of every batch. In Egypt, beer was the drink of the people. Wine was for the elite. In Greece, they diluted wine with water. Getting drunk was considered barbaric. In the Inca Empire, chicha corn beer was the great equalizer. Rulers and commoners shared it at state feasts. And in Bronze Age China, alcohol was used in ancestor worship, offered to the dead to bring blessings to the living. Here's the pattern. Everywhere, always, alcohol was central, not recreational, sacred and political. In Mesopotamia, beer was considered an effective technology, a tool to transform people's emotions and states of mind. The Epic of Gilgamesh tells the story. Enkidu, the wild man, is given beer to become civilized. To the ancients, alcohol made you human. It separated people from animals. But alcohol did more than just socialize individuals. It built political power. Think about it. You're an emerging leader. You need to mobilize labor, build alliances, gain authority. You throw a feast, you provide the beer. People come, eat, drink, and bond. They feel connected to you. They trust you. They work for you. This is how early states consolidated power, through alcohol-fueled feasting. Mesopotamian kings poured resources into beer production. They maintained their own breweries. They celebrated their lavish provision of beer for festivals. It made them look generous, powerful, divine. In modern terms, alcohol was a political campaign tool, and it worked incredibly well. But here's where we need to be careful. Was alcohol the main driver? A 2025 study from the Max Planck Institute tested the drunk hypothesis across 186 societies. They found a positive relationship between alcohol and political complexity. Societies with alcohol tended to be more hierarchical. But the effect was small. Agriculture was a much stronger predictor. So alcohol wasn't the cause. It was a tool. Agriculture created surplus. Surplus created alcohol. Alcohol built society. Without farming, there's no large-scale brewing. Without brewing, there's no large-scale feasting. But this misses something crucial, the ritual dimension. Alcohol wasn't just for social bonding. It was for connecting with the divine. The process of fermentation itself seemed magical. Bubbling, transforming, bubbling, something supernatural was at work. Ancient people saw that and worshipped it. In most world religions, a fermented beverage is central. Wine in Christianity, beer in Sumerian worship, rice wine in Chinese ancestor rituals. Alcohol was the original psychedelic. It let people contact the spirit world. That's why shamans and priests often controlled its production. They controlled access to the sacred. And here's another wild piece of the puzzle. Animals drink alcohol too, and they actively seek it out. Elephants eat fermented fruit and get drunk. Reindeer in Siberia seek out psychedelic mushrooms. The drive to alter consciousness is ancient. It's not human, it's biological. We evolved to seek out intoxicating substances. Our ancestors who craved them had an advantage. They were more social, more cooperative, more likely to form alliances, and those alliances helped them survive. Now let's fast forward from ritual to recreation. How did alcohol become everyday? In ancient times, alcohol was safer than water. Fermentation killed bacteria. Beer and wine were daily nutrition. They provided calories, hydration, and safety. In medieval Europe, everyone drank beer, even children. Water was too dangerous. The pub was the center of village life, the place where people gathered, talked, and decided things. But the Industrial Revolution changed everything. Cheap, mass-produced alcohol. Distilled spirits entered the scene. Hard alcohol, whiskey, rum, vodka was easier to transport and store, and more intoxicating. The British Navy gave sailors daily rum rations. It was a currency. The Navy was built on alcohol. Colonial empires spread alcohol across the globe, made it cheap, ubiquitous, and sometimes destructive. Let's talk about the dark side. Alcohol abuse has always existed. Ancient texts warn about it. But here's what researchers emphasize. Abuse is a small part of the story. Alcohol has always been social. The benefits of moderate consumption, social bonding, ritual, nutrition outweighed the costs for thousands of years. It's only with unlimited, high-proof, cheap alcohol that the balance shifted. Isolation and excess became dangerous. Today we drink alone or in small groups. We reach for alcohol to escape, not connect. That's very different from the ancient world, where drinking was communal, ritualized, and controlled. In ancient Mesopotamia, beer was made in state breweries. It was distributed through formal channels. In the Inca Empire, chicha was brewed by elite women. It was served at state events. In China, rice wine was offered to ancestors. It was a sacred duty, not just a pastime. So what's the takeaway? Alcohol didn't just accompany civilization, it helped build it. It provided the social glue that held communities together, the trust that made cooperation possible. It provided nutrition and safety, a reliable source of calories and clean hydration. It provided spiritual connection, a bridge between the mundane and the sacred. And it provided political power, a tool for leaders to gain loyalty and build states. When we raise a glass today, we're continuing a tradition that's at least 10,000 years old. Maybe older. Some researchers believe fermentation was discovered long before agriculture, by accident in storage containers. We'll never know the exact moment someone first tasted fermented liquid, but we know what happened next. They told everyone. And that knowledge spread from hunter-gatherer band to empire, from accidental discovery to the foundation of society. So next time you sip a beer, a wine, or a cocktail, remember, you're not just drinking. You're participating in something ancient, something sacred, something that made civilization possible. You're joining a 10,000-year-old tradition that built the world you live in. Cheers to that.